Evening, folks. This is the fourth video I've done on somebody that's died. It's Mr. Degruchy Goes to Heaven. Another Charlie. Mr. Charlie Degruchy Goes to Heaven. Charlie Degruchy is like that song, I've Been Everywheres. Willie Nelson, I'm on the road again. Well, it's a song, I've been everywheres. Well, Mr. Degruchy Goes to Heaven. He was in the North Sea, taking a tow at tugs, big oil rig, big waves, 60, 70 feet high. I think he's in the Gulf of Mexico. He was off in Nova Scotia because he worked with Mulder Machine when he was home. He was in the Beaufort Sea drilling for oil on a drilling ship. He was electrical supervisor off of India after that. In fact, when he was up in the Beaufort Sea, the thing was to, not get frostbite. Frostbite in a drill. Arctic Ocean is not very deep. It's not deep, so it's a drilling ship, not a jack-up drilling rig. It's a drilling ship. Not get frostbite and freeze. Then after that was Dome Petroleum. He was with another company off of India in a big drilling, jack-up drilling rig. It was hot, and he's having problems with his kidneys. And the doctor said, I call him Mr. Degruchy, Charlie, drink enough water that you have to piss. That's exactly what I told him. Drink enough water and I have to piss. It reminds me kind of a funny story. This is very sad news. Saturday evening now, about 7 o'clock, on the daylight saving time evening, the 8th day of March. And Singapore, he'd been in Singapore, flew to Singapore, or the ship took him out, the helicopter took him out from Singapore. It's off to India, though, took him out to drilling rig, and said, in Singapore, there's no litter, there's no gum put on the subway doors, anything. There's a fine for doing that. And if somebody I know from Western Canada, him and his wife actually sent me some information. They'd been on a tour to Far East, and one of the places was Singapore. And I said, imagine there's no prostitution there. Oh, no, he said. There's a place downtown Singapore. It's 4 floors of whores. That was kind of funny. 4 floors of whores. I told that buddy from Western Canada, speaking to him on the phone about the pictures him and his wife had sent me on their tour of Singapore, and he hadn't come across it. Of course, he was with his wife, too. And they take Mrs. Degruchy. You've suffered tremendous loss and all your children. When she's in heaven, it's going to be a long time. A funeral home is going to wait a long time to get Mrs. Degruchy. I can tell you that one. Her mother was what? 103 when she died. 103 or about to turn 104. The mother was 100 plus. So Mrs. Degruchy's only young thing. I think she's 80, 81. So it'll be a long time before you get Mrs. Degruchy. Mr. Degruchy had turned 85. What a wonderful gentleman. You call him up, you need help in something, he'd drop in. It was just a really good... Him and Duke Pierce had done a job for me one time. Him and Gerard and Duke Pierce. Another time is Mr. Degruchy, and he'd be gone away, but as soon as they come home, Mrs. Degruchy, talk about Mrs. Degruchy for a minute. That lady, the flowers she can plant and the lovely garden she can make. Look, when she's up in heaven another 25, 30 years back, reunited with Charlie, I'm certain God's going to say, Marcella, come over here. I want you to make some improvements in the Garden of Eden up here in heaven. She is just one capable cat. Okay, she was a power, as Cecilia and Willie Power's daughter, and her mother was Kenny. So you cover all the lines. Kenny's Power, great Linwood family. Family is a fantastic, fine people in that whole community. And Mr. Degruchy comes from his ancestors. Father comes from the lovely Acadian community of down at Larry's River, Charles Kovalevy's River. And the father, he told me, walked with a cow. He walked with a cow, and he got so far from Lundy Larry River, he was getting over there towards Bolson and getting tired. And the cow, the people gave him supper and brought him in, and the cow got some feed and hay and water. And he said, but a cow can be so stubborn. Think of him stubborn as a mule or donkey, but cow can be stubborn. And he walked. He was the first Degruchy to come over. And there was wonderful sisters, Hazel and Phyllis, Priscilla Marinall's Cove, Hazel Petty Pond, Linwood. And there's still some brothers left, I believe, a lot of them in heaven already. Lester's in heaven, Roy's in heaven, there's a lot of them, but what a wonderful man. He was just a good guy, just a hell of a good guy. They claim that there was a Tory background, but he always voted Liberal for Bill Gillis. He had great taste in politics. He'd go to machine shop when Bob Reed, Sean, and Roseanne needed him for something when he was home and available. And he just, let's say a prayer for him. Our Father, who art in heaven, he was a gentleman. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. We know that man is in heaven, and God would have welcomed him in heaven. Well done, good and faithful servant. God himself, when Mrs. Degruchy gets up in 25, 30 years, find her stuff in the Garden of Eden, God had any electrical things to do, I imagine. First thing he says, white throne judgment, the desk, the Archangel Gabriel says, Jesus has a list made for you, some stuff to be done. And so I have no idea when the funeral, the wake is, and the funeral mass, but he was a wonderful gentleman, and he'll be sorely missed by everybody, and to his children, and to his grandchildren, and I believe there's some great grandchildren out there. So he was a wonderful gentleman, and a pleasure to know. And we say, au revoir, merci for all you've done for so many people over your long service of serving the people in electrical needs. He worked on the Holiday Island vessel for fund the ferry that goes between Wood Island by Murray Harbour PEI over to Pictou and back and forth. He was electrical guy in that one, and they're just a very capable man. And God bless you, Mr. Degruchy, for all you've done over the years. And as I say, God will have you in heaven busy doing projects up there. Thank you. Good night.